Welcome back to Celestial Scrolls, where ancient Chinese epics come alive through storytelling. Today, we continue our journey with Tang Sanzang and his disciples in Chapter 27, The Summit of Revelation. Having survived the memory-stealing Desert of Forgetfulness and navigated the overwhelming Mountains of Accumulation, our pilgrims now face their greatest philosophical challenge yet. Watch as they ascend to the mountain summit where wisdom takes physical form and the mysterious lotus seedling finally begins to bloom. This episode explores the nature of understanding itself, as our heroes discover that some truths cannot be reached through striving alone. The barrier between knowledge and wisdom dissolves as Tang Sanzang receives a glimpse of their ultimate purpose and a magical tool for the journey ahead. If you've been following their epic quest westward, you won't want to miss this pivotal chapter where memories transform into meaning and the path forward is revealed through stillness rather than struggle. Hit subscribe and the notification bell to continue this legendary journey with us, and leave a comment sharing which of the four pilgrims you relate to most. Now, let's ascend to the summit of revelation together. Tang Sanzang awoke to the gentle caress of dawn light filtering through the mountain mist. The lotus seedling continued to emit its protective golden glow, though now dimmer in the growing daylight. He observed that overnight the bud had opened slightly more, revealing a hint of the intricate patterns within. The remaining portion of the dragon scale lay beside it, diminished yet still iridescent, having performed its vital duty. "Disciples," he called softly, rousing his companions. "The new day beckons us forward." Wukong was already alert, perched on a nearby rock formation that resembled an ancient scroll. His sharp eyes surveyed the path ahead, a winding trail that ascended through increasingly strange terrain toward the mountain summit. "Master," he reported, leaping down with characteristic agility, "the peak appears not far, perhaps half a day's journey. But the path grows peculiar." Bajie yawned enormously as he stretched his bulky frame. "Peculiar how?" "More memories floating about. My poor head can scarcely handle what's already in there." "Different," Wukong replied, his tone uncharacteristically thoughtful. "The accumulations change nature as they near the summit. Less memory, more—" He paused, searching for the right word. "Meaning." Sha Wujing, already checking their provisions and preparing for departure, looked up with interest. "Meaning? As in purpose?" "We shall discover soon enough," Tang Sanzang interjected, carefully closing the jade box containing the lotus and the remnant of the dragon scale. "First, let us break our fast and prepare for the climb." Their morning meal was simple but strengthening. As they ate, Tang Sanzang noticed that the overwhelming influx of memories had indeed subsided, replaced by a curious clarity of thought. His own memories remained vivid, but no longer threatened to consume his awareness. Instead, they seemed to arrange themselves in patterns that hinted at deeper connections, threads of meaning running through the tapestry of his experiences. "Do you feel it?" he asked his disciples. "The change in how our minds perceive?" Bajie nodded, unusually contemplative as he chewed. "It's as if I can see the purpose behind my past follies now, not just what happened, but why, and how each choice led to the next." "The mountain reveals patterns," Sha Wujing agreed, cycles and progressions I never noticed before. Even Wukong, whose immortal life spanned countless centuries, appeared moved by this new perspective. "I see the order in what once seemed chaos," he admitted quietly. "The Jade Emperor's punishments, my imprisonment, meeting you, Master, all steps on a path I couldn't perceive while walking it." They set off with renewed purpose, the white horse stepping carefully along the narrowing mountain trail. As they climbed higher, the accumulations indeed transformed as Wukong had suggested. Instead of physical objects or disembodied memories, they now encountered manifestations of concepts and principles. A grove of trees grew not leaves but questions, each branch extending paradoxes that seemed to answer themselves through their very structure. A stream flowed not with water, but with cause and effect, each ripple triggering complex chains of consequence that was somehow visible to the eye. Stones along the path were carved not by wind and rain, but by intention, their shapes revealing the thoughts that had formed them. "The mountain accumulates wisdom," Tang Sanzang breathed in wonder. "Not merely knowledge or memory, but their distillation." As they rounded a sharp bend in the trail, they came upon their first trial of the day, a chasm that cut across their path, too wide to jump, too deep to descend and climb again. On the far side, the trail continued its descent toward the summit. What made this obstacle truly remarkable, however, was that the chasm was filled not with empty space but with swirling paradigms, entire frameworks of thought made visible as intricate, interlocking patterns. Buddhist, Taoist, Confucian, and other philosophical systems flowed and merged in the gap, occasionally creating momentary bridges before dissolving again. "How are we to cross?" Bajie wondered aloud, peering cautiously over the edge. Tang Sanzang studied the flowing paradigms carefully. "I believe," he said slowly, "we must find harmony among these systems to create a stable passage." Wukong nodded in understanding, not choosing one above the others, but recognizing the truth in each. He extended his staff over the chasm and began to trace patterns in the air, connecting complementary elements from different philosophical traditions. Following his lead, Tang Sanzang began to recite passages from various texts, sutras, analects, and treatises, weaving their wisdom together rather than setting them in opposition. Sha Wujing and Bajie joined in, contributing insights from their own diverse experiences. Gradually, the swirling paradigms responded to their efforts, aligning themselves into a bridge of integrated understanding. What had seemed contradictory now appeared complementary, different facets of the same multidimensional truth. "Behold," Tang Sanzang said with quiet satisfaction, "the way is revealed when we transcend the boundaries between systems of thought." They crossed the bridge of harmonized paradigms, which held firm beneath their feet. The white horse followed, seemingly untroubled by the philosophical nature of their passage. Beyond the chasm, the trail steepened considerably. As they climbed, the very air around them grew dense with significance. Each breath Tang Sanzang drew filled him not just with oxygen, but with intuition, direct understanding that bypassed the need for words or concepts. "Master!" Sha Wujing called with sudden urgency. "The jade box!" Tang Sanzang quickly removed the box from his robes. Through the translucent jade, he could see the lotus seedling pulsing with intensified radiance. When he opened the lid, They all gasped in wonder. The golden bud had opened halfway now, revealing intricate structures within that seemed to mirror the patterns they had encountered on the mountainside. The remaining fragment of the dragon's scale had almost completely transformed into the golden powder, which the lotus was rapidly absorbing through its roots. "It responds to our progress," Tang Sanzang observed, cradling the box carefully as they continued to climb. "As we integrate understanding, it integrates nourishment." The final approach to the summit presented them with their greatest challenge yet. The path ended abruptly at the foot of a sheer cliff face that stretched upward for perhaps 100 feet. Unlike ordinary stone, this barrier appeared to be composed of pure abstraction, the fundamental principles that underlay all specific forms of wisdom. Wukong tested it with his staff, then with his fingers, searching for handholds. "It cannot be climbed by conventional means," he reported, frustration evident in his voice. "It's as if we've reached the limits of what can be grasped through effort alone." Tang Sanzang stood silent before the cliff, the jade box open in his hands. The lotus continued to glow, its half-opened bud oriented toward the summit as if yearning to complete its journey. "Perhaps," he said at last, "that is precisely the lesson. Some truths cannot be reached through striving." He closed his eyes and stilled his mind, allowing all the accumulated wisdom of their journey to settle into perfect quiet. His disciples, recognizing the shift in his approach, did the same, even Bajie managing to calm his usually restless nature. In that profound stillness, something remarkable occurred. The cliff face before them did not move or change, yet somehow they found themselves rising, not through physical elevation, but through a shift in perspective that rendered the barrier irrelevant. When Tang Sanzang opened his eyes again, they stood upon the summit, a perfectly flat circular space that offered unobstructed views in all directions. Below them stretched the strange landscape of the Mountains of Accumulation. Behind them, barely visible in the distance, lay the Desert of Forgetfulness they had crossed, and beyond that, the Plains of Whispered Prayers, where their journey with the lotus seedling had begun. Ahead, to the west, extended territories yet unknown, landscapes of challenge and discovery awaiting their passage. But most remarkable was what occupied the center of the summit itself, a small, perfectly circular pool of water, so still it might have been solid crystal. Its surface reflected not the sky above, but something else entirely, images of their future journey, possibilities that shifted and changed as they watched. "The pool of potentiality," Tang Sanzang whispered, somehow knowing its name without being told. He approached the pool's edge and knelt, still holding the jade box with its precious contents. As if responding to some unspoken invitation, the lotus seedling began to glow more intensely. The half-opened bud pulsed with golden light in a rhythm that matched Tang Sanzang's heartbeat. "What now, Master?" Sha Wujing asked, his voice hushed with reverence. "We complete this stage of our journey," Tang Sanzang replied. With careful movements, he removed the lotus seedling from the jade box and held it over the pool's still surface. "The Mountains of Accumulation have shown us that wisdom comes not from gathering more and more, but from finding the patterns that connect what we already know." He lowered the lotus until its roots touched the water. The moment contact was made, ripples spread across the pool, not outward from the center, as one might expect, but inward from the edges, converging upon the point where the lotus met the water. The golden bud began to open fully, petal by petal, each unfolding with deliberate grace to reveal deeper layers within. As the final petal unfurled, a small perfect scripture lay at the flower's heart, not a physical text, but pure teaching embodied in living form. The Lotus Sutra, Tang Sanzang breathed, recognizing the essence, if not the exact manifestation of the sacred text he had set out to retrieve from the western heaven. The scripture at the lotus's heart began to emit characters of light that rose into the air and arranged themselves in patterns of profound meaning. These were not words in the ordinary sense, but direct transmissions of understanding that inscribed themselves upon the mind without mediation. Each of the pilgrims received these transmissions according to their nature and capacity. Wukong absorbed tactical insights about overcoming obstacles on the path ahead. Bajie found revelations about transforming appetites into aspirations. Sha Wujing gained deeper understanding of service as a form of self-realization. Even the white horse seemed to comprehend some equine wisdom appropriate to its role. And Tang Sanzang, he received not just specific teachings, but a comprehensive vision of how this journey fit within the larger purpose of bringing Dharma to the East. He saw with perfect clarity both the immensity of the task and, paradoxically, its ultimate simplicity. When the transmission of wisdom was complete, the lotus flower gently detached from its stem and floated on the pool's surface. The stem and roots, meanwhile, began to transform, hardening and expanding into a small wooden staff of extraordinary craftsmanship. A gift for the journey ahead, Tang Sanzang realized, lifting the staff from the water. Despite its metamorphosis from living plant to crafted object, it retained a subtle golden glow and felt warm to the touch, alive in some fundamental sense. The floating lotus flower, meanwhile, began to spin slowly on the pool's surface, generating a gentle vortex that drew in the scattered images of possibility. As it spun faster, the vortex deepened, eventually opening a passage through the pool itself, not to the earth below, as one might expect, but to some other location entirely. Through this liquid portal, Tang Sanzang could see a mountain path different from the one they had ascended, a continuation of their westward journey that bypassed the need to descend the way they had come. "The mountains offer us a way forward," he observed, gesturing toward the portal. Wukong approached the edge cautiously, testing the passage with his staff. "It appears stable, Master. A gift indeed, allowing us to continue directly westward." One by one, they prepared to enter this supernatural shortcut. Before stepping through, however, Tang Sanzang turned for one final look at the summit and the remarkable pool that had made their transformation possible. "The wisdom we sought was never separate from ourselves," he reflected aloud. "The scriptures we journey to obtain are already written in the world around us and within our own nature. We needed only the clarity to perceive them." With these words, he stepped into the portal, followed by his faithful disciples and the white horse. The passage enveloped them in golden light, not transporting them instantly, but guiding their steps along an accelerated path through space and understanding alike. When they emerged on the other side, they found themselves already far to the west of the Mountains of Accumulation, standing on a ridge that overlooked their next challenge, a landscape very different from what they had traversed thus far. Tang Sanzang raised his new staff, which caught the light of the setting sun and seemed to point the way forward like a compass needle. The lotus flower that had opened at the summit was gone from sight, but its essence remained with them, its wisdom integrated into their beings. "Onward, disciples," he said with renewed determination. "The western heaven awaits, and we have many miles yet to travel." As twilight gathered around them, they began their descent toward the new terrain below, carrying within them the accumulated wisdom of the mountains and the unfolding truth of the lotus, balanced now between remembering and forgetting, between knowing and seeking, between the journey already undertaken and the path that stretched before them into the unknown west. And that's the end of chapter 27. The summit of revelation. Our pilgrims have gained profound wisdom at the mountain's peak and received a magical shortcut on their quest westward. But what strange new landscapes await them on the next leg of their journey? If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think the fully bloomed lotus represents? And what challenges do you predict for Tang Sanzang and his disciples in the chapters to come? We'll be back with chapter 28 soon, where our heroes will face even more supernatural trials on their path to enlightenment. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single adventure. Thank you for joining us here at Celestial Scrolls, where we bring these timeless tales to life. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, may your own journey be filled with wisdom and wonder. See you in the next chapter, fellow travelers.